Coming to you live from our studios in Belize City, this is the Evening News on Love Television for Monday, August 20. We'll get you started with a look at the stories making the headlines for today. Residents in the Toledo District on flood advisory. Attorney General breaks down Chief Justice's ruling on Section 53. Mental Health Association applauds ruling. 4-star General of U.S. Marines lands in Belize on working visit, and regional environmentalists meet in Belize. The National Emergency Management Organization is on a flood alert for southern Belize. In its latest advisory, NEMO says that the Toledo District is experiencing flooding. Jacintoville is currently under flood conditions. Aguacate Village is inaccessible and water is 15 feet above the bridge. Other villages along the Moho River must closely be monitored and monitor this flood situation and take the necessary precautions. People who live along rivers, creeks, waterways, and low-lying areas and whose home is likely to flood are cautioned to move to a high and safe building with friends, family, or in the community shelter before nightfall. Drivers are asked to slow down and put on their hazard lights when driving through the rain and flooded areas. Chief Kenneth Benjamin's ruling on the challenge of Section 53 2 weeks ago remains a divisive issue. Last week, Prime Minister Dean Barrow indicated that the government would embark on an educational campaign to inform the public more on what the ruling means. Today, Attorney General Vanessa Rittridge was a guest on Love FM's morning show along with CEO Judith Alpuche. The Attorney General said contrary to reports in some quarters, the Constitution has not been changed.
There is the allegation or people have been saying that what has happened is that the Constitution has been changed, and that is not so. What has happened is that the court has interpreted the Constitution to ensure rights of persons are protected, and it has what we call in law blue penciled legislation to bring it into conformity with the Constitution.
Rittridge explained the wording of Section 53, saying that in no way does this encourage pedophiles.
Section 53 before was every person who has carnal intercourse against the order of nature with any person or animal shall be liable to imprisonment for 10 years. So that you will note that it refers to carnal intercourse against the order of nature. Now Section 53 reads as follows. Every person who has carnal intercourse against the order of nature with any person or animal shall be liable to imprisonment for 10 years. Same wording as before, with the addition of this section shall not apply to consensual sexual acts between adults in private. So there are 3 things that you must satisfy for it not to be criminalized. It has to be consensual between adults and in private. So that those persons that are alarmed and feel that this offers protection to pedophiles in any way ought not to be alarmed, because they're the 3 criteria you need to satisfy, and that is consensual, adults, and private.
The Attorney General was asked if the court had the right to address the issue.
To ensure that the principles enshrined in the Constitution are protected, and I think an important distinction has to be made. While the courts are empowered to, I referred to it earlier as blue penciling, and that is simply to insert words into any offending law. So they are empowered to do that in relation to laws that are, if I may use the term, subsidiary to the Constitution. So the Criminal Code is one such act. They are not allowed to do it to the Constitution. So that, but the court must interpret the Constitution in accordance with evolving standards of decency. So, and the judge made that specific point. So while we can blue pencil legislation and amend legislation by the court, and it's perfectly permissible for them to do that as a matter of law, the same cannot be done in relation to the Constitution. And so he interpreted the Constitution and blue penciled legislation. And that is perfectly permissible by law.
She went on to explain just what the judgment means.
The judgment simply recognized the right to privacy of consenting adults. That is what the judgment did. To put it quite simply, that is what it did. It recognized in relation to Section 53. It recognized that in relation to the Constitution, in determining whether or not somebody has been discriminated against, it will include in the interpretation of the word sex, sexual orientation. And sexual orientation is simply the preference to have sex with women, men, whatever that preference may be.
A section of the religious community has planned a series of protests to voice their discontent with the ruling. The first of such is planned for tomorrow in Belmopan. Meanwhile, the Mental Health Association has applauded the Chief Justice's ruling. They say it is firmly based in law rather than emotion and upholds the right of privacy and consensual sexual activity between adults, and is long overdue considering that the American Psychiatric Association removed homosexuality from its list of mental disorders in 1974. The MHA believes that any move to reduce discrimination and the social stigma felt by LGBT people will have a positive mental health consequence. The MHA goes further to support the government of Belize's decision not to appeal the ruling and is firmly opposed to the idea of a referendum concerning this issue. They say any campaign on this issue would undoubtedly increase hate speech and lead to greater stigma and discrimination with severe mental health implications for the LGBT community. It ends by saying the ruling in no way imposes a new morality on those who have religious or other objections to homosexuality, who remain free to retain their own views and to base their own lifestyles on those views. It has been some time since we have heard from the National Trade Union Congress of Belize. In its release, the NTUCB says while they have been silent on the issues plaguing the nation, the silence does not mean they are content with the way the issues are being managed. The NTUCB says it was working on strengthening its internal operational mechanism in an effort to position itself as the social partner it is organized to be. In the meantime, the NTUCB says it is, quote, prioritizing the Congress is prioritizing how it intends to address the mounting plethora of incidences that continue to damage our national landscape, with a view towards impacting beneficial outcomes to the citizenry of this country. End of quote. The NTUCB addresses the beheading of Pastor Llewellyn Lucas, calling for an international investigation into his murder. Belize's Brigadier General David Jones and the Admiral of the Belize Coast Guard, John Borland, hosted a high-ranking military man of the U.S. Marines this morning at the Price Barracks in Ladyville Village, Belize District. General Robert Neller arrived in Belize via the Philip Goldson International Airport at around 10 o'clock and was escorted to the BDF's headquarters, where he was greeted by members of the Belize Defense Force and later taken to the office of the Military Liaison Officer in Belize, where he met with the U.S. Ambassador Carlos Moreno. That meeting lasted just under an hour, after which the general, escorted by several U.S. Marines, went over to another section of the barracks to meet with Commander Jones and Borland. Upon his exit from that meeting, Love News spoke with General Neller on the purpose of his visit to Belize.
I'm here today meeting with General Jones and Admiral Borland as we have Marines that are here in Belize supporting the Belize Defense Force. They were here during the hurricane, and I believe they were involved with helping everybody kind of recover and clean up, and they're doing some work on some ranges, some roads, so that both the Belize military and our forces can continue to train and do it in a better, more effective way. So that's why I'm here, just to say thanks to General Jones and Admiral Borland, and to come see our guys and see how they're doing.
Love News also spoke with BDF Commander David Jones on what was discussed in this morning's meeting as it relates to training and hurricane relief.
We just had a visit by General Neller. He's the commandant of the U.S. Marines, and he's here to visit myself and to see what the BDF is doing and how they can partner with us to continue training, because they've got some Marines here training with us, and even after Hurricane Earl, their Marines were instrumental in assisting our rehabilitation right here in Price Barracks. And they've pledged that whatever other assistance we need here at Price Barracks, or if the country would require their assistance, they're willing and able to have our Marines join the BDF and assist where necessary.
And as it pertains to training, was any of that discussed?
Well, yes, they're actually doing training with us. It has been happening from 2003. We have a group of Marines doing training with the Belize Defense Force and providing leadership and skills training for us that started in 2003. We have some of them here at the base, and that partnership is going to continue. They're going to continue sending Marines here, and it's going to extend to having some of their troops go to Punta Gorda to do the training from there. So whatever we would need in regards to training in the future, he's willing to assist us. As long as we put in the request, he said he's willing to assist us with future training requirements.
As Commander Jones mentioned, the U.S. Marines is offering assistance, but as was clarified by our military commander, it is not by way of supplies or funds.
It will be just manpower, because as the Army, they're not allowed to provide tangible assistance in regards to construction materials or so. But if those materials are provided by our country, they're willing to provide, because we've got some engineers here, some U.S. Marine engineers here in Belize that are willing to assist. We need assistance here as well. We're just waiting for some materials, and their Marines are going to assist us with reconstruction of what has happened here at Price Barracks.
General Robert Neller is a 4-star general, which is the highest rank in the Marine Corps. He reports directly to the Joint Chief of Staff for the United States and is a commander for all U.S. Marines in the U.S. General Neller left the country following his meetings today. Some structures at Price Barracks were not spared by Hurricane Earl on August 4, 2016, when it made landfall. The damages have been registered at around $1 million, including military equipment. Brigadier General David Jones spoke to Love News on the losses.
We have a number of military equipment that has been stored in the storeroom that is here behind me, which includes parts for weapons, parts for vehicles, equipment like what the soldiers would use out in the fields. I won't go into some of the specific things that are in there, but the infrastructure damage and equipment damage is in excess of $1 million that we lost here at Price Barracks. To include some of the homes for the families, the roofs were blown off, and they lost a lot of their household items as well during Hurricane Earl. So in excess of $1 million, we have a lot of damage that occurred at Price Barracks, and we need to look at helping ourselves apart from what NEMA and the government can assist us with.
Several families staying at Price Barracks were forced to evacuate their homes in the middle of the storm as their roofs were ripped off. The annual conference for the Belize Defense Force was held on Friday and Saturday. This conference was to update the BDF Commander David Jones and the Minister of Defense John Saldívar on various areas of the force in an effort to improve effectiveness and efficiencies. Commander David Jones explained further on this weekend's meeting.
Once a year we have a senior officers conference, which I am the chairman, and we normally invite our minister. In this case, our Minister of Defense, the Honorable John Saldívar, was with us, where we look at some of the things that we discussed a year ago that we'd like to achieve, and we look at where the BDF is now, where we'd like to go in the future. So based on what the government requires from us, we see how we can achieve those tasks. We know exactly what the government expects from us. We train to get it done, and we also articulate what resources we need to achieve the policy directives that we get from the government, which is why we had the minister with us. He spent the 2 days with us. It was a very fruitful conference. We articulated a lot of things that we'd like to see the government do for us, and as the Minister of Defense, he has pledged to support us as much as possible.
The reports are from a national perspective, and as such, all camps and posting sites are being looked at. With the Prime Minister taking the Ministry of National Security and splitting it into two, there was the need to engage another person to fill the post of Chief Executive Officer in the Ministry of Defense, which Minister John Saldiva now heads. Love News understands that the post has now been filled by a former BDF soldier, Felix Enriquez. We asked Brigadier General David Jones to weigh in on the selection of Enriquez.
He's quite familiar with what the BDF is. He was in the regular force before he left, and he worked as a civilian, and as a civilian he came back and joined the volunteers. So he's intimately aware of what the BDF is all about. He was there for the second day of the conference, and he was apprised of what we had discussed, and he listened to the presentations that occurred on the second day. He took notes. We've had our initial discussion, and we're looking forward to working with him and to charter an excellent way forward with the new administration under the Ministry of Defense.
Prior to accepting the CEO's position, Enriquez was employed at the Development Finance Corporation as the Chief Financial Officer. Belize is hosting the Mesoamerican Society for Biology and Conservation this week, where they will hold a symposium on contemporary environmental issues affecting the region. Roberto Pot, president of the Belize chapter of the Mesoamerican Society for Biology and Conservation, shared what the Congress will be conferring.
This is a lateral organization, all volunteers. There's no one paid to do this. They get time off from their work, and they take their personal time to contribute to this society where we share information because we have a common goal, a common interest, which is to manage our resources for the people in Mesoamerica. And so that's essentially what the Congress is about, bringing together, providing a space for people to meet, share their tricks of the trade, share information, and collaborate, build bridges across borders, across regions, across ecosystems. Well, there are 5 major themes that focus on biodiversity, on conservation, climate change, community involvement in conservation, and we're also having a series of special interest symposiums. One of the bigger ones is the issue, the big issue that Belize faces, which is the illegal trafficking of wildlife. Which comes along with other illicit trade, but it's starting to affect not only the resources but the people who are dependent on these resources.
Minister of State with the responsibility for the environmental and sustainable development, Omar Figueroa, stated that the Congress brings experts together to share in research.
It's extremely significant for us here in Belize to host this Congress. Every year, the Mesoamerican Society for Biology and Conservation hosts this annual Congress where scientists, research, conservationists from across Mesoamerica, and in fact I notice now Colombia and Cuba are also involved, come together and they share their research papers. They have symposiums on different species, regional species that are of conservation concern. So there's a lot that can be learned from this, when these symposiums come together and they develop position papers. It's also extremely exciting to see that we have quite a few Belizeans presenting research results here at this Congress. So it's an extremely important Congress that allows for the sharing of information. And one of the important things of this Congress, in my opinion, is the opportunity for Belizeans and other students from across the region to interact and socialize with professors, with experienced researchers, so that they themselves can develop their own research proposals, for them to further their studies to attend graduate school.
Minister Figueroa also spoke about the issues that are affecting Belize's environment and that are important for us to address.
What are the issues that you see affecting Belize when it comes to conservation and the environment contemporarily?
The issue of management of our protected areas is an area that we still need a lot of funding, need a lot of work. In fact, today I am very excited that tomorrow, I can announce that tomorrow we will be launching the Chiquibul initiative, which will be the largest single investment by any government in what is clearly one of the more important protected areas network in our country, in the Chiquibul Maya Mountains. So the government, we're doing our part. We're investing in areas where we see this critical need.
The Congress will end later this week. One of the topics environmentalists will discuss is the need for legislative support and government policies to substantiate their work in conservation of the environment. Minister Omar Figueroa, Minister of State with the responsibility for the environment and sustainable development, spoke about the legislative support that they provide.
Comes to legislation and policy making, and that's something the government has a very important role in to support these organizations, because whilst they've been doing this work, they need that kind of legislative support. Do they have that support coming from your ministry?
And that's why in my talk this morning I said that if this symposium simply results in the opportunity for our scientists and our partners to put another symposium on their CV and walk away, we would have missed the boat. It's important for them to develop position papers, to present these position papers to the government so that we can work with them to make sure that we give some legislative power to these position papers.
And once they present those papers, substantial evidence, empirical data, will they have that support?
As Minister of the Environment, anything that has to do with the environment, with protected areas, with climate change, I stand willing and able to work with these folks and to make sure that whatever recommendations they present to us, within reason of course, that I will do my part to push it and to make sure it becomes, that we give it some legislative framework.
Minister Figueroa stated that conserving the environment is everyone's responsibility, and that is why the partnerships between government and non-governmental environmental organizations is very, very important.
The partnership between government and these NGOs is extremely important. The NGOs have a critical role to play. The government of Belize is open, and we are ready to sit down and to discuss anything that's important to them. When it comes to conservation of our natural resources, we are very keen on doing our part, but we believe it has to be a two-way street as well. You know, the NGOs have an extremely important role to play as well.
Present at the opening ceremony were Oceana, the Belize Audubon Society, and the World Wildlife Foundation, among others. The constant pull between tourism development and conservation of the environment is an issue affecting Belize presently. Whilst Belize thrives on tourism, the same tourism is based on natural resources. Minister Omar Figueroa spoke with Love News about the precarious balance between development and conservation.
I always say that Belize depends heavily on tourism, but it's important for us to realize that our tourism is nature-based. So if we fail at protecting our nature base, our protected areas, our natural history, if we fail at doing that, then we can end up losing what we have in tourism. So we need to develop tourism, but we need to make sure that we do that in a manner that is sustainable. We need to make sure that 20, 30, 40 years down the road, we still have this nature base that allows us to promote tourism, that allows us to attract tourists into our country, and that will allow us eventually to keep on building the tourism industry. It's a balance that we have to make sure we strike. And that is at the core of what is known as sustainable development.
And how do we maintain that balance according to you?
Well, precisely by little congresses like this. We need these folks to provide for us the critical data, the science that will allow us to better understand our natural resource base, to better understand our protected areas network, to understand what are the critical features out there, so that while we develop, we make sure that we keep these things working together, that we keep our protected areas connected, that we keep our biodiversity vibrant. You know, we cannot develop at the expense of our protected areas, at the expense of our biodiversity. We need to make sure that those things remain intact.
And when there is a conflict between these two ministries, how do we go about resolving?
Well, each conflict will have to looked at separately. No two conflicts will be the same. I mean, I am sure that the folks at tourism will push for tourism to be benefited, and then it will be incumbent upon us in the environment, in protected areas, to make sure that we do not develop at the expense of our environment, at the expense of our protected areas.
Minister Figueroa stated that the Ministry of Tourism and his ministry work very closely to ensure sustainable development. A road traffic accident early on Saturday morning left a young man dead. Senior Superintendent Lyndon Flowers, officer commanding Precinct 4 Police Station, stated that on Saturday morning around 3 o'clock, police reported to mile 4.5 on the Philip Goldson Highway, where they discovered the lifeless body of 28-year-old Lionel Robert Hamilton. Senior Superintendent Flowers stated that when the police arrived, medical personnel were already present.
The investigation thereafter by the police revealed that a green van, which is a taxi, was being driven from Ladyville direction into Belize City when it collided with a neon car, which was at the time on the road being driven by Mr. Lionel Robert Hamilton of a Simon Lamb Street address. The investigation continues into exactly what caused the death of Mr. Hamilton on the scene there. But we know that the two vehicles collided, and as a result, flowing from that, the investigation is revealing that Mr. Hamilton's, the vehicle that he was driving, because I discovered that the vehicle does not belong to him, was experiencing some mechanical problem, and he was in the process of maneuvering the vehicle off the side of the road, and then doing so, along with his companion, they saw this van coming, and all their efforts to get off the road did not succeed, and that caused the collision which led to the death of Mr. Hamilton.
Flowers also shared some details that the investigation is revealing, emphasizing, however, that they do not know everything that happened yet, and they have to wait for the post-mortem results to understand fully what happened on that fateful morning.
From the impact on that piece of highway, what I have observed personally, I believe that speeding was a factor in the collision. Further, at the time the road was dry and there was no other traffic on the road from what persons are saying who came up on the scene. And the two vehicles in that time was Mr. Pantin's and Mr. Hamilton's vehicle. The police, as a matter of course, has taken a urine specimen from Mr. Pantin, and that has been sent to the forensic laboratory for analysis. We have served Mr. Godwin Pantin, 52 years old, with a notice of intended prosecution. He has since been detained and has been taken to the Krishna for medical attention. The investigation is still ongoing. The wreckage on the scene has revealed some direction that the police is following up.
His common-law wife, Adelina Cho, who was at the morgue this afternoon along with the couple's son, is still in shock. She spoke with Love News, stating that the post-mortem revealed that Lionel sustained multiple organ and head damage, and he died on impact.
Up to now, I can't believe it. I'm in shock. I really can't believe it. Me and my son, I was still waiting for him because he usually go hang out and then he come home, and then like about that same time when the police come, like that time he usually come home and he hurry get ready, take a shower and get ready for work. The last time I saw him was like maybe before 9 o'clock the Friday night, when he and his son passed by my work, and they went to Ronji and bought some movie so they can watch some movie. So they passed by my work and both of them give me a kiss, and that was it. That was the last of him I saw.
So what was Lionel like as a person?
He's a nice guy. He makes us laugh every day. He makes us feel special. He makes sure he doesn't leave my house happy. He always leave my house happy. Yeah, he always leave us happy, me and my son. He makes sure even if my son is sleeping, he kisses us all every day, every evening.
The family is hoping to hold Lionel's funeral on Wednesday or Thursday of this week. One woman received minor injuries following a road traffic accident this morning. Correspondent Fem Cruz has the story.
An early morning traffic incident on the Gerald Price Highway between mile 42 and 43 involving a car and a Bluebird passenger bus has left one person injured. According to the driver of the bus, Omar Barahona, a resident of Cotton Tree Village, sometime around 7 o'clock this morning, August 22, he was traveling from the village of St. Matthew en route to Belmopan, and upon reaching the village of Cotton Tree, a black car that was coming in the opposite direction suddenly swerved into his lane and collided head-on into his bus. As a result, the conductor that was traveling along with him fell out the bus. Love News spoke to Mamzi Callis, the conductor, who explained what happened.
We were on our way from St. Matthews, and while we reached Cotton Tree at the bump, a car ran into us. I don't know what happened to the driver, but in my mind, I believe that he lost control because the car just ran right into the bus. The vehicle was coming from Belmopan. We were going to Belmopan, and that vehicle was coming from Belmopan, and we were going to Belmopan.
You think the accident, the rain contributed to the accident?
I'm not sure.
Do you feel like the speed?
I feel like she was speeding, but I don't understand why, because there's a bump, so she's supposed to know that it's supposed to slow down, because the hit where the bus get, I mean, come on, anybody could see that person made the drive hard. I don't know what happened to that person, if she fell asleep or what, but I'm not sure.
Tell us what happened to you as a result.
Well, I was by the door because I'm the conductor, and I fell out of the bus and I hit my face, my head, my hands, and my side. Mostly it's my side that get it because I fell on my side, but thank God it was minor, nothing serious.
This is Brother Fem Cruz reporting from the Western Regional Hospital here in Belmopan for Love FM.
36-year-old Clive Arnold Jr. was hospitalized this weekend following a shooting incident. Arnold was shot while on Rivero Street on Saturday evening. Sergeant Isaias Sanchez spoke on the shooting.
36 years old Clive Arnold, a Belizean stevedore of number 90 Rivero Street, is recovering now at the Carl Hushner Memorial Hospital after he was shot to the abdomen and right hand. The incident happened on Saturday, the 20th day of August 2016, about 6:45 p.m. Clive Arnold was walking on Rivero Street heading home from the direction of Kral Road when he heard several gunshots. He managed to run away, after which he realized that he had sustained the gunshot wounds.
Police brought in an individual with whom Arnold had a previous altercation with. However, according to police, he has been able to provide them with an alibi.
Clive Arnold had a previous misunderstanding. He was previously shot on the 22nd day of November 2015 on Farbaj Road, where Trevor Guy was charged with the crime. The matter is still at court. Clive Arnold is no stranger to the police. All right, he has been involved in different cases as a victim, as a suspect. He is an associate of the Judge Street gang, and we believe that it's a gang-related incident. As far as we can see, it's a personal motive, and we have one of the parties in custody. We have spoken to the party, who is Trevor Guy, who denies all allegations. All right, he said that he was at home when the police found him, which is correct. We also spoke to him in reference to the previous misunderstanding. All right. Well, he's denying the fact that he had any implications into the case. The department at this time, yes, we have put specific patrols in the area to prevent further retaliation.
Police scanned the crime scene widely as the gunman ran after he had shot Arnold, but so far had been unable to recover any expended shells. Arnold is recuperating at the KHMH. A stabbing incident has left a resident of the Valley of Peace hospitalized. We hear more in this report from correspondent Fem Cruz.
20-year-old Oscar Cerritos, a resident of Valley of Peace Village, is hospitalized at the Western Regional Hospital after he was stabbed multiple times. The victim told Love News that sometime around 9:30 last night, Sunday, August 21, he was on his way home after socializing with some friends at a bar in the village. And upon reaching at an unknown street in the back area, he was attacked, beaten, and stabbed multiple times to his body. Oscar Cerritos was rushed to the Western Regional Hospital by family members, where he is listed in a serious condition. According to Rowan Creek Police, they are looking for the suspects. This is Brother Fem Cruz reporting from the nation's capital city, Belmopan, for Love FM.
BSI has launched an internal inquiry into the accident which resulted into the death of 41-year-old Ismael Jimenez Jr. As we reported last Friday, Jimenez, who was a mechanic at the company, was involved in an accident on the compound which resulted in him being crushed between two pieces of heavy-duty machinery. BSI says Jimenez, who is a father of 5, has been employed with the company since 2009. The company says it extends sincere condolences to Jimenez's family and friends and has offered support and assistance to the family during this difficult time. The company has engaged the services of certified counselors to support staff and family members to deal with the trauma of the loss. BSI says it is cooperating with all relevant authorities investigating this incident. The recently elected village council in Cattle Landing has expressed concerns over the fact that they have yet to be sworn in by the Ministry of Local Government. Carlos Bardales Jr. was elected as the village chairman on June 5, 2016.
People at Cattle Landing, they want to know why we are not swearing it, if they have been disrespectful or disrespected by the election and boundaries or something, or we are nobody in Cattle Landing. They want to know why we're not swearing. They're asking for answers right now. They want to know if the UDP want to turn Cattle Landing into tongue or something, because it's been 2 months now and we're not swearing. We're the first village that had village council in Cattle Landing village, and we are still not swearing in yet. So the people are asking for answers. They want to know if we are just like all the other village councils are coming and don't want to do any work, and cannot answer them, give them any answer. I'll tell them they are a protest and we're not getting answer from the election and boundaries yet. I don't know if it's because we're not POP or UDP. Only God knows why they're not answering us right now. And swearing us in. And we're waiting for a swearing because it's been 2 months now. All villages have been swearing. I mean, Cattle Landing is the first village who had the village council, and we are still not swearing in. We're still waiting for an answer. All election and boundaries is saying they send the protest to Belize, but it's been 2 months and we're still getting no answer from them. So I don't know what's going on.
Bardales was one of the 3 persons who ran for the chairman of Cattle Landing Village. Of the 108 persons who voted, Bardales received 47. The other elected members are Cardinal Smith, Yolanda Mahano, Sharon Williams, Curlet Galvez, Clarine Hernandez, and Gloria Weatherburn. Live Your Goals campaign is a FIFA-sponsored event that took place in Belmopan for the first time. The campaign was launched by FIFA in several countries where females are being encouraged to play football. Saturday's event was geared at the females in the northern districts of Orange Walk and Corozal. Idania Ramirez is a project manager of the campaign who spoke to Love News about the program.
It's the first time ever we're doing it here in Belize. It was approved to us by FIFA. We're working at the moment with 90 girls from Corozal and Orange Walk. They are having fun at the moment. We have 8 stations where 4 is free football and the other one is the basic concept of football, 4 exercises: dribbling, passing, and receiving. That's what they're doing. FIFA launched this campaign to encourage young girls to play football in all countries. Belize is a country where football for female is not really recognized, but hopefully with this program we can develop female football. The Live Your Goals campaign is to, this one in Rosal and Orange Walk, we'll be having 4 festivals. One for Belize District in September, one for Belmopan and Cayo in October, and Dangriga, Mid-South and PG in November. I want to encourage parents to help develop football by sending their children out to participate in different sporting activities, different football activities that is within their community. All the festivals are to take place at the main stadium, which is here in Belmopan. So they will be traveling to Belmopan for the event.
Acting President of the Football Federation of Belize, Marlon Quaylen, spoke to Love News of the Live Your Goals campaign, as well as another initiative currently underway.
Well, we have 2 events happening today. One is this one here, which is called Live Your Goals. It targets girls between the ages of 10 and 12, and it's a FIFA-sponsored event. And thankfully, they chose Belize this year. And the idea is to motivate and to give hope to the young girls by having this event. As you can see in the background, we have 120 girls from Orange Walk and Corozal. And the idea is that we've zoned off the country into 4. So every month thereafter, we will have an event like this for the other districts, for the other zones. Well, we applied for it. It's an application you do actually. There are a lot of things you can access from FIFA, but you have to apply for it. And this is the culmination or the end result of one of those applications. I'm excited. I'm excited about the plans we have, about the additional funding we'll be getting from FIFA, and I'm very excited about the possibilities that are being created and the willingness for companies now, for corporate Belize to come on board, because a number of companies have shown interest in some of the programs that we are planning. So I'm really, really excited about this.
Quaylen noted that there are several opportunities available through FIFA to enhance the support of football, including this Live Your Goals campaign, which the FFB had applied to have it held in Belize. 28-year-old Linsford Acosta, a fisherman of Waha Street, Belama Phase 2, was charged with aggravated burglary when he appeared today before Magistrate Carlon Mendoza. Acosta pled not guilty to the charge. Magistrate Mendoza explained to him the bail cannot be offered to him because the offense was committed with a firearm. Acosta was remanded into custody until October 21st. The incident occurred around 11 p.m. on August 21st when 50-year-old Adolfo McCoy, a construction worker of Antelope Street, reported to the police that he was at home lying in bed when he got up and opened the door for Adeja Ganguez, the daughter of Monique Dennison. McCoy said that when he went back to bed, he was approached by Acosta, who grabbed him by his neck, put a gun to his head. McCoy said Acosta pulled the trigger and he heard the gun misfire. McCoy said he kicked Acosta, then he grabbed his machete. McCoy said that he felt a blow to his head and Acosta ran out of the house and on to the street. McCoy said he pursued Acosta and Acosta got on a motorcycle and drove away. He was later arrested and charged. The thought conditioner for today is from Bob Marley. It reads, quote, "Love the life you live and live the life you love," end of quote. This has been the evening news on Love Television, and we invite you to log on to our website at www.lovefm.com for transcripts of our news stories. Thanks for joining us. Have a safe and enjoyable evening. I am Taryn Butcher.